to begin the second part of the lesson. And once again, before we do that, we are going to play a game. This game is related to songs, and it doesn't have a name because I made this game myself. I should have thought about a name, but I'm not that good with names. So we are going to call these. There's a missing word in the middle, and I need you to help me to figure out which word it is. So as you can see, there you have song titles, and in these little square at the bottom, you have the names of the people who sing that song. And once we get the name of the song, we are going to find which letter is the one that is missing. I don't know if it's clear, but once we start playing this game, we are going to understand what we're saying. Because the first song is Love the Way You, and there is a blank. Do you know what's the name of that song? It's sung by Eminem and Rihanna. Do you have a clue?
Love the Way You Lie.
Perfect. It's an L. Love the Way You Lie. The first word we have is an L. Thank you very much. The second one, it's Rolling the Deep by Adele.
Yes,
Yep.
rolling in. Rolling. I.
Yes, that's correct. It's Rolling in the Deep. The next one, it's a song by Dua Lipa that was very popular like 1 year ago or two. That at least I felt like it was everywhere. Do you know the name? The second word's Rules.
New Rules?
That's correct. It is called New Rules. One, don't pick up the phone. And the following one, it's Somewhere Only We blank.
Somewhere Only We Know?
Exactly. Somewhere only we. Oh, that looks ugly. Whoops. I'm sorry about that. The next one is All I Want for Christmas, You. This is like a classic for me at this time of the year. It's sung by Mariah Carey.
Is You.
That's correct. This is a song you should all be playing on December 1st. If not, I'm going to be mad. The next one, it's Thank You, and it's sung by Ariana Grande. Or Grande.
Thank You next.
That's correct. Thank you. Next. And the last one was very popular when I was like in high school. I was finishing high school, I think, and it was all over the place because I remember they played this song on my, I don't know how you call it, like the party, the ball, yeah, in the ball, and it's by Psy, and the second word Style. Do you know the name of the
Style?
The Gangnam Style. That's correct.
Or childhood anthem.
It's your childhood anthem. For me, it was like the song that was playing on the party when I left high school. For you, it's your childhood song. I feel kind of old now. But yeah, it's the Gangnam Style. Oh, I'm sorry for my handwriting. It's horrible. But now we have a word in the middle. See? It's go linking. That's our missing word. The word linking. So thank you very much to all of you who participated and the one who didn't but thought about the songs on their head. Thank you very much as well. And now we are going to move on to this linking feature. So I am going to need help. And once again, now I'm going to start from the bottom. And the last person on the list is Sebastian. Can you help me, Sebastian, with the first paragraph, please?
All right, linking. Linking is the connection of the final sound, vowel or consonant of one word or syllable to the initial sound of the next word or syllable.
That's correct. Thank you very much. I think that's very self-explanatory, so I don't have anything else to say. Roberta, can you help me with the second paragraph, please?
Yes, if there is no pause between two words, they should be linked together so that they sound like one word. Linking means that words should be joined smoothly to each other. If you do not link words together, your speech sounds shoopy. I say it right? Shoopy? Choppy?
Choppy.
Shoppy. Okay, thank you. If you practice linking words, your speech will become much clearer.
Thank you very much. So as you already read, when there is no pause between words, we should link these words together as one word. And choppy, it's, for instance, when you are cutting vegetables to make, I don't know, lunch or something, you chop them. So the word's chop, and in this case, it's a choppy. I think that's also very self-explanatory. It means it says that if we link our words or speech, it's going to be more much clearer and it's going to sound more smoothly. So now we're going to move on to the following slide. And it says, where can you find these features of connected speech? And why does it say these features? It is because when we're talking about linking, they are different elements that can be used to link words. In this case, we are going to work today with something that is called linking R, because, or intrusive R. I mean, there are two different ones. We're going to work with linking R and intrusive R. And that's why it says find these features of connected speech, because there are two. Ignacio, can you read the paragraph that is here, please?
These phenomena occur in many non-rhotic varieties of English, such as those in most of England and Wales, part of the United States, such as New York and New Jersey, and all the Anglophone society of the southern hemisphere, New Zealand, Canada, Australia, with the exception of South Africa.
Thank you very much. As I already mentioned, this slide refers to the features of connected speech we are going to work with now, that are linking R and intrusive R. And why I have this here? It is because this phenomena only happens in non-rhotic varieties of English. That means that this happens only when we don't pronounce our R's or Us at the end of the words. So that's why it says in most England, Wales, part of the United States, there are some places in the United States in which we do pronounce R's. I mean, we don't pronounce R's, like in the case of New York and New Jersey, because people mostly assume that in New York, I mean, in the States or in the United States, people always pronounce their R's, and that's not always the case. There are some exceptions. And like it already mentions, in the all Anglophone societies on the Southern Hemisphere. With this being said, you need to keep in mind that the linking and the intrusive R happens when people it's not pronouncing them, because in their respective accents they don't pronounce the R's as final sounds, and that's something very important, because it doesn't happen when people do pronounce, when there is rhoticity when people pronounce their R's. So this is a linking R, And I think I'm going to read because it's not much. And it says, linking R, it's when in a non-rhotic accent, we pronounce the R sound at the end of a word or a syllable as long as the following sound is a vowel. If this is not that clear, we have an example there that says, can somebody call for an ambulance? But how we pronounce this with a non-rhotic accent? It's, can somebody call for an ambulance? When we talk about a non-rhotic accent, we have to keep in mind that for the word for, in a non-rhotic accent, it's not for, it's for. So people don't say, can somebody call for an ambulance? People say, can somebody call for an ambulance? They do pronounce the final R sound in for when the following sound is a vowel. So I don't know if this is clear for you. We have more examples there, but that's basically what it is. When we have a word that has an R sound at the end, but because of the accent that it's non-rhotic, we usually don't pronounce it. But in this case, if there's a vowel following that R, we are going to pronounce in order to link our speech. So once again, can somebody call for an ambulance? Can somebody call for an ambulance? Then we have the example of 4 apples. That, for instance, in Britain, people say 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. They, just like in the case of for an ambulance, the pronunciation is the same. It's like this. So it's the same one. People, if for instance you're buying some vegetables and you listen to someone, they're not going to say, oh, I want 4 apples. They're going to say, I want 4 apples. 4 apples. See what I mean? For instance, here we have the case of later. Later. That word has an R at the end, an R at the end, but we don't pronounce that R when we have a non-rhotic accent, because we don't pronounce final R sounds. So we have the word later, but when we have on at the end, on following that word, and on it starts with a vowel, we have later on. Later on. We do pronounce the final R sound. Not like in later. We don't pronounce the R, but then later on, we do pronounce the R, run, later on. And the same happens in the case of better day. Better day, in this case, we pronounce better day, and we don't add an R here because the following sound, it's a consonant, right? It's not a vowel like in the case of later on or 4 apples. These ones are vowel sounds, but these, it's a consonant. So better day doesn't have a linking R, but then if we have the words betteranza, here now we do have a vowel sound, and in that case the better has a linking, has an R sound, that it's a linking R sound. So we have betteranza. Is it clear? Linking R, whatever you want to call it. Do you understand what a linking R is, Gaspar?
Yes, miss. I understand now.
Great. So
Thank you.
I insist. Thank you. No thanks to you. It's very simple. Linking R, we have a non-rhotic accent, and we pronounce a final R sound when we usually don't, but only because the following sound is a vowel sound. When we have a consonant vowel sound following the R sound, we don't pronounce the R. but if it's a vowel, we do. This feature, it's optional. It is not mandatory for everyone to pronounce their words with a linking R. For instance, in the case of the apples, if I am buying something for instance, on a supermarket, no, in a supermarket. Oh, well, yeah, in a supermarket, because people also work on the veggie section. And for instance, if I am looking around and I say, oh, I want to buy four, and I don't know like why I want to buy yet, so I can say 4, and then I make a pause, and then I say apples. I don't need to say rapples in that case, because I made a pause. So I'm saying I want 4 apples. But if someone asks me, if I'm, for instance, looking at the apples and it says, oh, how can I help you? How many do you want? And I can say 4 apples. So it's the same expression, but if you make a pause, you don't need to pronounce that word with a linking R. So that's just for you to know. Now, I have a video, but I am sure, I think this is not going to be heard by you because of the same message I already received. So I'm going to play this video. If it doesn't sound, please let me know. It's very short, by the way. They're all kind of short.
My ear is sore.
Could you be able to listen to that?
Yes, Miss. Yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, miss.
Wow. It says that it wasn't going to play the audio. I am surprised. Great. So as you can see, here he says, he's Australian, by the way. He is saying, my ear is sore. He will usually say, my ear. He wouldn't pronounce the R, but because in this case it's followed by E, he's going to say, my ear is. Let's listen to him once again.
My ear is sore.
My ear is sore. Do you understand this? Are you able to notice the R that it's there?
Yes. Yes. I understand.
Great. So once again.
My ear is sore.
Now we are going to listen to some people saying the name of a very known British. I mean, no. To listen to some British people pronouncing the name of a very known Russian book. So this is the name of the book. It's called War and Peace.
Peace. War and peace.
War and Peace.
War and Peace.
War and peace.
So here, usually we have that the word is war. When people talks about conflicts, the word is war. Or for instance, when they say, oh no, he went to war. When there, for instance, something happened in, I don't know which conflicts are happening right now, I'm sorry. But for instance, the Afghanistan war, they don't pronounce it as war, like in some places in the States, for instance, or how I usually pronounce it, war. They say war. But here, because then the following words an end, it's the trap vowel, they say war and peace. War. Once again.
Peace. War and peace.
War and Peace.
War and Peace.
War and peace.
So as you could be able to listen, they say war and peace, right? Now we are going to listen to all the people pronouncing this linking R, but the video stops after the person has pronounced the words. So during those seconds that the video is paused, I recommend you to pronounce the sentences on your own. It's not much time. I think it's like 1 or 2 seconds. But I will highly recommend you to pronounce the sentences after the person has said them. So please listen carefully.
You know, I really like my mother-in-law.
Have you been to the Tower of London?
You've got something in your eye.
Never again.
You know, I really...
Sorry. As I already told you, these people, for instance, in the case of the first one, he says mother-in-law, mother-in-law. He usually, British people, they are British, by the way, they usually say mother, my mother, but he say mother-in-law, mothery, mothering. So once again.
You like my mother-in-law.
I really like my mother-in-law, mothering. That's why there has a small like arrow linking the R and the E together. The next one. Look on.
Have you been to the Tower of London?
Have you been to the Tower of London? Usually the word tower, it's the way British people pronounce the word tower. So here she says, have you been to the Tower of London? Tower. She pronounced the R at the end, right? Then the next one.
You've got something in your eye.
Oops. I think that was the last one. Yeah. You got something in your eye. Your eye. It's not your eye. Your eye. Your eye. Right? So that was the linking R. Do you have any questions? Yes, no, maybe. I am going to say this once again. Linking R happens when we have a non-rhotic accent in which we don't usually pronounce the final R sounds, but if the following sound that comes after the R in the spelling is a vowel, then we are going to pronounce the R in order to link the two elements together. Bastian? Do you want to say something?
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. Normally, we think that the British people always don't say the R, but like you are explaining, is when it's a vowel after it's a vowel sound, they pronounce it. So maybe we have a erotic point of view of British people.
Like an erroneous.
Yes.
I will say mindset that always British people delete their R's. But as you could be able to listen to the examples of those people speaking, they are pronouncing the R's, right? The R's, as they will say. So yeah, I think that's something very interesting, that we assume that British people do not pronounce the R's. And when we try to sound more British, if you want to try to sound more British, sometimes you need to pronounce those sounds if you really want to sound more native-like. It's not like you have to, but it's going to make your speech more clear if you try it. So now we are going to move on to the intrusive R. And the intrusive R, it's another phenomenon that links the speech. It's a linking feature. And it says, it happens between two sounds, where the first word ends in a vowel sound and the second word begins with a vowel sound. So remember that in the case of linking R, there was an R in the spelling, but we don't pronounce the R. We usually don't pronounce the R because we don't pronounce the R's, the final R sounds in non-rhotic accents. In this case, it's also in non-rhotic accents, and it says that when we have two vowel sounds, the first vowel sounds that it's at the end of a word and the following vowel sound that it's at the beginning of a word, even if there is not an R in the spelling between them, we are going to pronounce these sounds as if there was an R sound in the middle. That's why there's a little image that I made there of those like ghosts with an R in the middle, because they represent this ghost R that is going to be present there. And we have an example, and I think this is going to be very helpful for you to understand. We have the word law and order. This is a very common, I mean, it's a very known TV program, but when we have the word law, and then we have and, both of those words, one ends with an O, with a long vowel sound, and the following one begins also with a vowel sound. So people, British people, for instance, I have a video after these example, you're going to listen to these British people pronouncing Laura, even though there is not an R in the spelling. But because the first word ends with a vowel sound and the second one begins with a vowel sound, they are going to link these words together by adding an R in the middle. So the example is, law and order is important. Law and order is important. It's how you will say without the R, right? Law and order is important. But then when we add the intrusive R, we say law and order is important. Law and order is important. Before we move on to the video, I would like to say that usually the schwa sound is the one that it's at the end of the first word. But in this case, we have a long O, and that's completely fine. But just for you to know that this usually happens when we have a schwa ending word. I think that's it. Now we are going to listen to the video. So here you go.
Order is important. Yes, I think law and order is important.
Law and order is very important.
We all think that law and order is important.
I think law and order is very important.
In some cases, it was easier to identify these intrusive R. Some it's a little bit more. Some people pronounce this a little bit more subtle. You don't realize that much about the sound, but the sound it is present in the way they're speaking. So we are going to listen to it again. You can pronounce these at home, by the way, if you want to try, give it a try. So once again.
Order is important. Yes, I think law and order is important.
Law and order is very important.
We all think that law and order is important.
I think law and order is very important.
There was one man that said law and order at the beginning with the law, and his example was very clear of how he was pronouncing the word with an intrusive R. Law and order is important. It's very important. So now we have more examples of the intrusive R. And the first one is sovereign chairs. Sovereign chairs. We have the word sofa that ends with a schwa, sofa. And then we have end with a schwa. And those two vowel sounds are going to join together by an intrusive R. So it's going to be sovereign chairs. Sovereign chairs. The second example is formula array. Formula array. Formula array. Formula A. Formula array. Formula array. The third example is America and Europe. But if we add an intrusive R after America, we have American Europe. American Europe. American Europe. I was thinking, do you want to pronounce this out loud in front of the class? Do we have a volunteer to pronounce these examples? Because if no, I don't know if I should pick someone to pronounce these.
Okay, yeah, I can.
You can? Please go ahead.
Yes. Software and shares.
Yes.
Formula A. Formula A.
Formula Ray. It's like
Yes,
Formula Ray. Ray.
Yes, Formula A. Formula A. American Europe.
American Europe. Once again, please, the last one.
American Europe.
American Europe. Perfect. Thank you very much. And just because I haven't listened to her today, Marieta, can you help me pronouncing these words? Can you speak? No?
Yes, miss?
Yes. Can you help me with these examples?
Okay. Software and shares, Formula A, and American in Europe.
American Europe. Perfect. Thank you very much. Now we are going to listen to the same Australian man from the first video I think I played. So let's listen to what he has to say.
This picture, I draw it.
No, this was. Oh.
There are intrusive art.
This picture.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sorry.
This picture, I draw it.
Exactly, and that's correct. There is an intrusive R because he said draw it, right? The verb is pronounced as draw, o, a long O sound. But he's saying, he's linking this sound with the following one, that it's a short E, if I'm not mistaken. So he says draw it, right? This picture, I draw it.
This picture, I draw it.
This picture, I draw it. Gaspar, do you want to pronounce this sentence?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, go ahead.
This picture, I draw it.
Perfect. So in this case, there is not an R, and like in the previous ones, there is not an R in the spelling, but we do pronounce the sentence as if. Oops, we pronounce the sentence as if there was an R in the spelling, and in this example, it is very noticeable. I draw it. I was watching, for instance, a YouTube video, I think last week, and I listened to this person saying, "Oh, I saw it," and I didn't notice before, and then like I thought about it, and I was like, "But there's not an R in that word. Why did he say draw it? I mean, saw it." And then I remembered about this content, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's why he's pronounced like saw it." He was talking about something that he was watching on his monitor, so he was, "Oh yeah, I saw it," and now that I know, I mean, I remembered this content, I think you are going to be able to identify when British people or Australian people or people from New Zealand or from New Jersey, New York, wherever someone speaks with a non-rhotic accent, you are going to be able to identify when they are using the intrusive and also the linking R. So now we are going to practice before the session is over, and you are going to listen to 5 recordings. These recordings are 5 sentences. You have to write down what you hear, because in this case, I am not giving you these sentences. So you have to take notes and write what you listen. And after you have done that, you can identify if the person is using the linking R or the intrusive R. I am going to play each recording 3 times. I think I am going to play each recording twice for you to take notes, and then I am going to play all of them again one more time for you to identify if you haven't already identify which linking we're talking about, if it's linking R or intrusive R. Do you understand what you have to do? You have to listen to these sentences and write down the sentences. And then you have to identify if the person is using linking R or the intrusive R. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, great. So this is the first sentence, the first time.
My sister is older than me, but my brother is younger.
I am going to give you a couple of seconds so you can write down the sentences. Once again.
My sister is older than me, but my brother is younger.
And one bonus time.
My sister is older than me, but my brother is younger.
So that was the first sentence. Now the second one.
We saw another film last weekend.
Once again.
We saw another film last weekend.
And one last time.
We saw another film last weekend.
Now the third sentence.
The store at the end of the street is closed.
Second time.
The store at the end of the street is closed.
And one last time.
The store at the end of the street is closed.
Now the fourth sentence.
I've never asked for it to happen.
Once again.
I've never asked for it to happen.
And once again.
I've never asked for it to happen.
And the last sentence, sentence number 5.
Oliver asked for a smaller onion.
Once again.
Oliver asked for a smaller onion.
And one last time.
Oliver asked for a smaller onion.
Now I think I'm going to play the sentences once again. One time each.
My sister is older than me, but my brother is younger.
That was sentence number 1. Now sentence number 2.
We saw another film last weekend.
Now number 3.
The store at the end of the street is closed.
Number 4.
I've never asked for it to happen.
And last but not least, number 5.
Oliver asked for a smaller onion.
Now, is it linking R or is it intrusive R? Bastian, can you help me with the first one? Could you be able to write down the sentence?
Yes. Yes, I could.
Which one was the sentence?
My sister is older than me, but my brother is younger.
That's correct. The sentence was.
And could be is a link in R. Because he said my brother is.
Exactly.
Is linking.
Thank you very much, Gaspar.
You're welcome, Miss.
Bastian, we know that it's a linking R. My question to you is, how many linking R's do we have here?
2. My sister is, my brother is.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, Camila.
Yes, Miss.
Do you have the sentence number 2?
Yes. We saw another film last weekend.
That's correct. And the woman pronounced the word like weekend like very weird. I mean, not weirdly, but she sounded weird. Like weekend, I think she said. Yes. So this one is an intrusive or is it a link or is it a linking R?
Is it an intrusive R?
Intrusive. And where does it happen?
It's when says saw another.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Camila. Now, Diego Farias. Could you be able to listen to sentence number 3 and take notes of it? No? What about Diego Troncoso?
I'm here. I think it's the store of the end of the street is closed.
That's correct. Is it a linking or is it an intrusive R?
Linking.
And where's the linking?
The store of the end.
The store at the end. Store. Store at the end. It's linking. I don't have the or this. I will say, what do you reckon? I would say it's an intrusive R.
Yes, I was thinking about it, but I think that I didn't listen an intrusive R, so I suppose that is linking.
The thing is that with linking R's, we have an R in the spelling, but we don't pronounce it. So here we have 2 vowels, store. Because this is a British, I mean not a British, but it's a non-rustic accent, so it's store at the end. So the O and an at. We have 2 vowels, so I will say this is an intrusive. Don't you reckon?
No, I didn't recognize it. I understand, but in the audio I didn't recognize the.
Yeah, there were some that were like a little bit tricky, so it's okay. It's like the store at the end of the street is closed, and because there is not a written R, it's an intrusive one. So thank you very much. Now, Gaspar.
Me too.
I'm sorry. Do you have the sentence number 4? I think you do.
I don't remember, Miss.
Oh, you don't have sentence number 4?
No.
No? Well, I can help you. It's okay. I can help you because I do have sentence number 4.
And I never asked for it to happen.
Exactly.
It's linking.
Linking and where?
Because for
For it. That's
For
correct.
it.
Is that the only one?
No, on the beginning. I never asked. Never asked.
Never asked. That's correct. Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
And
miss.
now,
Thank you.
once again, last but not least, Marieta, do you have the last sentence?
Sorry, miss, I don't have the answer.
It's okay, we can do this together. So the sentence is, Oliver asked for a smaller onion. First, we need to identify if we have R's in the spelling or if we have vowel sounds at the end and at the beginning of two words,
Yes.
right? So in this case, what do we have?
Is linking.
Linking. And where does the linking happen? It's okay.
In Oliver ask.
That's correct. For ask.
And for ask.
For ask. And
smaller onion.
This is a, thank you very much, Marieta. This is a short sentence that it's full with linking R. So we have Oliver asked for a smaller onion. Sounds weird, kind of weird, but it's the way we pronounce it. Oliver asked for a smaller onion. So that was the last exercise for today. Now here I have, we have how many? 2 minutes left. Here I have a short summary of the features of connected speech we studied today. We have assimilation, and that it's, remember, when a sound becomes similar to a neighboring sound. And we have the three types, regressive, progressive, and coalescent. Regressive, when the phoneme that comes first is affected by the phoneme that comes after. Progressive, it's when the phoneme that comes first affects the second phoneme. And coalescent, when we found the two phonemes, how was the word for influenced each other, and they found a middle ground. I mean, a middle place of articulation between the two of them. Then we have linking, that it's when we connect. Yes, Bastian?
Could you go back to the past slide, because all we have the doubt why the third is intrusive, because the store has the R, so
but
why
the
it's
last,
not linking?
It's not, because the last written letter, it's an E.
Has to be the last letter. Okay.
When it says when a word ends with a vowel sound, and when we say store in non-rhotic accents, like for instance in British one, that I think the recording was in a British accent, they don't say the like we say normally, like store. They say store. The store at the end, so they say the store at the end. That's why. It's because it ends with a vowel sound, not an sound. It's store. Store at the end. And that's why we add the R. Store at the end. Can you...
Okay.
Can you... Is it clear or is it still not clear?
Yes, it's clear. But what's difficult?
It was difficult. I think... No? Go ahead.
Because we were confused with the spelling has an R. It's true that the British don't pronounce like store, only the store, but it's like a confusion.
It's difficult for me as well, because I have to like put myself into the mind of a person who speaks in a different way. That speaks different from me, so it's not something I'm used to. I will also say store, so when I try to think about this, it's like, what would a British person or what would a Australian person say? And yeah, it's store. So that's an O sound. It's just because of that. So, and because of the time, I am going to say that linking is when we connect words and we have the linking R and the intrusive R. In the case of the linking R is when in a non-rhotic accent we pronounce the R sound at the end of a word, even though in that accent we usually don't pronounce the R sound, but it's because the following sound, it's a vowel. When we have a consonant, we don't pronounce the linking R. It's only with vowel sounds. And then in the case of the intrusive R, it happens also between two sounds, and when the first word ends in a vowel sound, and the following word also begins with a vowel sound, we are going to link these two words together by adding this R in the middle. There is not an R in the spelling, but we pronounce the words as if there was one. Have any questions? Yes, no? No?
No, miss.
No? Okay. Now you have homework. And your homework is that you are going to go to YouTube and you are going to find examples on videos or interviews of people speaking with these assimilation or with linking R. And it's going to be good for you because by doing this, you're going to be able to, just like it happens to me, you're going to be able to identify when people does speak with these features. And by doing that, you are going to know that you really comprehend these features because you are able to apply them. Oh, yes, Gaspar?
Yes, and with this homework we can practice with the linking R or intrusive R.
Yeah, as well, and it's also it's very helpful for you because you're going to be able to identify if you can identify them or not. So yes, I think that's all for today's lesson. I don't know if teacher Bruno wants to say something.
Just, I would like to thank you for the class. Very well organized. Assimilation and linking are not easy features of connected speech to explain, and I think all the examples you found and you shared with the class were very, very clear. I think I wish I had them before. I wish I had seen them examples before. Just to clarify, I think it was Bastian who asked that we had already seen or studied, cats, dogs, this plural marker that sometimes is voiceless, sometimes is voiced.
I think it was Bastian.
Yeah, I think it was the kind of the kind of question that Bastian would ask, right? Yeah, we already saw that specific feature, but now Ms. Javiera was giving it a name. It's assimilation. I mean, we're just giving the phenomenon that we had already discussed before a name, and in this case is assimilation of voicing, because assimilation can be a voicing of manner of articulation or place of articulation. At least one or more features are transferred, are passed to a neighboring sound. So in that particular case is assimilation of voicing specifically. Okay, so thank you very much, Ms. Javiera. For me, very, very clear. Yeah.
So that's it for today's lesson. Please take care. And I will see you all on Tuesday. No,
Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday.
Yeah, the next Tuesday.
Goodbye.
That's right.
Goodbye, Miss.
Goodbye, Miss. Goodbye, teacher. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Javiera.
See you next time. Bye-bye.